Good evening, everyone. We will now begin the evening service of the Miroku Association headquarters, expressing our gratitude for blessings and protection received while participating in the construction of paradise on earth. Amatsu-Norito and Miroku Prayer. Please stand. 高天原に神住まります。かむろりかむろみのみこともちて、すめみおやかむいざなぎのみことつくしのいむかのたち花のほどのあはぎはらにみそぎはらいたもうときになりません。洗いどのかろもろのまがごけがれお洗いたまえ清めたまえとまおすことのあまつかみくにつかみおすの神たちともに雨の淵駒の実に降り立ててきこしめせとかしこみもまおす弥勒御神守りたまえ先はえたまえ弥勒御神守りたまえ先はえたまえ教えみよや主の神守りたまえ先はえたまえ教えみよや主守りたまえ先はえかんながらたまちはえませかんながらたまちはえませ Great God of light, creator and giver of all life, in accordance with your divine will, the long age of night draws to an end. Your radiant divine light, shining ever more radiantly, awakens the dawn of the glorious age of light, a time long awaited by all humanity. We thank you for guiding us to your divine plan, and for the privilege of channeling and receiving Johrei. Spirits and bodies be illuminated and purified, as we live your truth given to us by Meishu-sama. Make us pure and effective instruments of your divine light, so that we may serve you and all those with whom we come in contact. May paradise on earth be realized, with health, peace, and prosperity, a reality in our lives. Great God of light, bless and protect us. Radiate our souls with your divine light, so that we may truly become instruments of your great plan. Seated, we will now receive group Johrei.
Meishu-sama bless you.
Johrei is now concluded. We will now listen to a reading from Meishu-sama's teachings. The light of wisdom. A careful study reveals that the ultimate cause of most suffering in the world is ignorance of the spiritual truth. The number of people with true wisdom has been decreasing. Those with surface knowledge alone are increasing. Those who find guidance in God's teachings will never be lost or confused in the wasteland of illusion. When you encounter an important issue, try not to worry about it too much. Once in a while, I find myself coping with a difficult situation. I do what I can and then leave the rest in God's hands. This keeps my mind at ease. When your mind is at ease, you are most likely to be blessed with good ideas. Feeling overwhelmed leaves you no room for clear thinking. When you are free from worry and are at ease, good idea comes up. And also you receive inspiration. You can't change any negative. I used to worry greatly when I was young. When many problems bothered me, I could not think of anything else. Over the years, however, my faith has grown and I have learned to trust God and to put all my worries into God's hands. Then I can forget my worries. You can also make it a habit to do the same. This is a kind of spiritual training.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining the Miroku Association Headquarters Evening Service. This evening, I would like to share the faith experience of Mônica Rodrigues. She's from Ipanema, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Mônica became a professional athlete in 1983. She started with indoor volleyball in 1991 with beach volleyball with her partner. She was a silver medalist in the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. Altogether, she spent 24 years as a high-performance athlete, and even away from competitions, she never stopped playing sports. Then, in 2015, she had severe pain in her high right heel, followed by worrying swelling. She was diagnosed with bone edema and bursitis. Her life has completely changed. She started to have physical limitations from playing. Simple movements like walking became marked. She consulted several experts and did everything in her power to regain her health. She had a slight improvement, but after some time the pain returned, and in the following year she was forced to repeat the procedures she was taking. Walking with difficulties in constant pain and unable to practice the sport she loved, a sad person. In mid-2019, a young woman at her gym started talking, saying she knew Mônica from volleyball. She spoke about our church and invited Mônica to join her in going to the Johrei Center. Mônica accepted the invitation and they visited the Johrei Center in that same day. She received Johrei and noticed that her mood improved. Initially, she went to the center 4 times a week, and although her heel still hurt, she felt fine. She believed that by attending and receiving Johrei, she should deserve the improvement from this purification. Very happy with the changes, she wanted to become a Johrei member, having the permission to receive the sacred focal point or Hikari in December of 2019. With the arrival of the pandemic, she read the teachings of Meishu-sama, channeled Johrei, and talked about what she was learning to family and friends. She watched our online services and invited her husband to watch the services with her. In addition, she started putting flowers in every room of her home and offering donations of gratitude. In this way, she remained calm even in front of the picture of the great worldwide purification. In light of the changes in her behavior, in a few months she was blessed to guide her husband, sister, and two great friends to become members. Their lives were touched and blessed by the miraculous power of the divine light. This was a great blessing for her, and she felt deep gratitude that she was used as an instrument of salvation for family members and her ancestors. Shortly thereafter, she was invited to attend the Meishu-sama's birthday service in the sacred grounds of Guarapiranga, which at that time was restricted and limited in the number of people who could attend. She was allowed to participate in the pilgrimage with the four new members she had guided. With her sister and friends, she walked painlessly through the gardens, and feeling very light, she made a donation of special gratitude for experiencing that sublime moment. Since that day, her physical condition has been improving a lot. She went back to playing sports in a moderate way, walking without pain, and she's more confident every day. From this experience, she learned that when we are useful to God, we win great victories. Monica is very grateful to God and Meishu-sama for the changes that have taken place in her life and for giving her permission to help others. Very nice experience from Monica, silver medalist, the Atlanta Olympics. And another experience I would like to share with you is from Neise Pedro Constantino. She's from the Largo do Colégio Angolano Johrei Center in Benguela, Angola. Neise is a nurse and a Johrei member. The experience that she would like to share with us is related to special gratitude donations. In September of last year, a patient in critical condition was admitted to the hospital where she works. She took his vital signs, and then they were told to be very careful as he was suspected of having COVID-19 and needed to be tested. Neise and her whole team panicked because at the time they were not wearing full biosafety equipment and they distanced themselves from the patient. The patient became very despondent and started screaming for them. And she silently prayed, saying, God, I cannot just stand by and do nothing. In this life we are just passing through, so may thy will prevail. She gathered great strength from this prayer, approached the patient, soothed him and fed him, and he calmed down. In the meantime, a co-worker wearing the biosafety equipment arrived and took a testing. Later that day, the patient passed away. The next day, the test results came back positive, and they all panicked again. A meeting was held with the medical team to choose if they would quarantine at the hospital or at home. She opted to quarantine at home as her children were staying with their grandparents. She should also mention that she had already spoken to her husband, requesting that he stay somewhere else. He did not accept this, and we vowed to stay together in happiness and in sadness, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poor, so we are nothing to fear. While returning home, she called her minister to inform him of the situation, and he guided them to pray, to read the teachings of Meishu-sama, and to exchange Johrei. She explained to him that due to some emotional dissatisfactions, her husband had to stop using his ohikari. Thanks to God, after speaking to the minister and receiving this guidance, when they arrived at home, her husband started using his ohikari again. This purification also made her reflect upon her religious practices and she realized that she was not taking care of her ancestors. She was not doing her donations correctly, and that she was no longer going to church, but simply praying at home. A few days later, while cleaning her room at home, she kept thinking about all the purification that she had gone through in the past and how in all of them she had always received God's protection. When she completed the cleaning, she started coughing and feeling shortness of breath. Her husband started to channel Johrei, and at that moment, her ancestors manifested in her. According to her husband, they asked the Supreme God and the Messiah Meishu-sama that she be given one more opportunity to fulfill her mission. The ancestors also guided them to do a special gratitude donation. They did so with all the money that they had at home. Thereafter, they called the minister and they prayed together, guiding to God and Meishu-sama all those ancestors that were manifesting themselves. When they finished the prayer, her symptoms eased. 3 days later, the symptoms came back more intensely, and she called the COVID-19 Action Committee. While she waited for their reply, she received a call from her workplace asking her to go there because they had a medical team and a special room where she could be looked after. On arriving at the hospital, she was warmly received. She felt that they were taking care of her in the same way that she had cared for. She mentioned. She felt the return of much love and attention. She was given oxygen and underwent the COVID-19 test. She returned home and stayed in constant touch with her to pray every 3 hours, thinking of all the people that were suffering with this pandemic. After 2 days, the hospital called to say that the result of the COVID-19 test done on all of the staff that were working on that day had all come back negative, from the security officer to the cleaning staff. This made her very happy. From the beginning of this pandemic, she has noticed everywhere a reduction in friendship love. At the same time, she also feels that this is an opportunity for us to reconnect with the Supreme, trusting in Him. She understands also that the sickness that is affecting the world at this time has a spiritual origin, and that if we are in harmony with the laws of nature, we may not be affected by it. Thanks to this experience, her feelings of gratitude, and she has begun to do her donations correctly. Neise's commitment is to devote herself to helping the salvation of others and to serving God forever. Neise is very grateful to the Supreme God, Messiah Meishu-sama, her ancestors, her family, and particularly that patient who reawakened Neise to her mission. Thank you very much for attending this service this evening, for listening to this inspiring faith experience. I wish you a very blessed evening. Thank you very much.
This brings to a conclusion our evening service. Thank you everyone for joining us and have a blessed evening.